I have the beautiful Shannon Patching with me. Hello, Shannon.
Hello.
All right. So Shannon is going to start by telling us what life has looked like for her before she came into my world. So we're going to talk about pre you discovering me, and then we'll catch up to there. But tell us a little bit about how did you find the healing world? How did you get into it, and what was your life and childhood like up until that point?
Oh my God, buckle up. Okay, so first of all, where do you begin? I feel like well, I'm Shannon, and I basically have always just my first 6 years of childhood, I could say felt normal, felt very protected and safe and normal. And then it became my parents were going through a divorce. And then from the divorce was absolute carnage from that moment, to the point where my mum like abandoned me. I would think I was 6 years old at home alone to the point where I was like eating rotten apples, trying to survive, because she just found this new man and left me behind. And my dad took children, and so the separation kind of was the first part of abandonment for me. My mum decided to leave and never have anything to do with me again in my life, from there. So I guess part of the journey from then was just figuring out how to live, as a little girl with no mum. And I think I struggled so hard with being so sensitive and feeling so much emotion and care for people, but only ever being seen as problematic or a know-it-all, or all of these names that were given to me constantly, and having a very volatile, I guess, upbringing with my dad raising 3 children on his own and having a business, and he was very angry a lot of the time. And I think when we had beautiful moments, we traveled around Australia, we did all these great things, but on the other side of that was like 2 weeks of isolation every school holidays because I said the wrong thing, or staying home to clean the kitchen or clean and doing all these things. So my whole childhood was always people pleasing, and it was always staying safe and having I guess that was like my real childhood was just very lonely. Then I remember being very misunderstood. I always felt like I was always in trouble. Even at school, I always felt like no matter what I said, no matter what I did, I was just always in trouble. I just said the wrong thing and people misunderstood me. So I always just had this real strong, like, I'm not good enough feeling. Then as I kind of got to high school, I turned into like, I remember thinking, they don't know me. These people in high school don't know me, so I can be anyone I want to be. And then that was more trouble for me because then I started lying and creating these great big stories about who I am. And, so year 7 was not good. Lots of bullying and lots of like, I don't belong here. So trying to fit in, and just really making a rod for my own back, basically. And I just constantly was never fitting anywhere. There was so much anger at home. So when I would be out of the home, I would try and pretend that didn't exist and I was someone else. And then when I got to my mid-teens, it all just really changed. I knew that I'd had enough of home, the feeling I was having, and I really just wanted to just leave. I just felt like I was just not good enough. I just never felt good enough. And so I literally ran away at 16, and I ran away. And within a very short time of running away, I was like staying at a friend's house. And then I was sexually assaulted twice in 2 weeks by 2 different men. And one of them was both times while I was asleep, waking up to it. And then having like these, it's my fault, like it's my fault, even though one of them was like, 40 plus years old and I was only 16. So for me, it was still, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have done this. I should have been, so I kind of just started to like numb myself. There's a lot in that. And then as I kind of kept growing, I had my first son when I was pregnant 18, had him at 19, and then had a very long relationship with his dad. And in that time was just constantly like pushing forward with, I've got to do better for my son. I need to do better for him. I can't repeat life as it has been for me, for him. And so I just kept striving for better and better. But I know now that that meant perfectionism and trying to pretend a lot of the life that I was having didn't affect me or was better than it was. When I was 24, I think I tried to have another baby. We're trying to have another baby for 6.5 years, infertility, 9 miscarriages, and just hell in between all of that. And then right before COVID hit, I fell pregnant naturally. I'd been through IVF and surgery and all of the things, and I finally had this pregnancy that was so, so prayed for. And I spent my whole pregnancy just being so excited for this little life that was coming. And I had this spiritual connection to him. I already knew his name, just this beautiful energy of love. And I just could not wait to meet him. Then, to kind of quickly go backwards, when I was about 15, I remember thinking, I'm going to have a son and he's going to die. And I just carried that with me forever. And I always thought it was my first son. And it turned out it was actually my second son. So when my second son was born, within, I think, just a couple of hours of his birth, I was looking at this beautiful, precious, perfectly healthy little baby boy. And I was like, oh my God, it's you. You're the one that I'm going to lose. And I just knew in my soul that this little boy came to change my world. And he was just so precious. I just had this divine connection to him. Throughout the whole of COVID, he was 6 months old when he finally did die. And that was we don't even know what he died from, really. We don't have an answer. There was no coroners. We don't know why he died. It was from the medical system ignoring me when he should have got help from the beginning. And I kept trying to use my voice and push and say, like, my son is sick, there's something wrong with him. And this pushback of like, you're crazy, you're making it up. Munchausen, like Munchausen by proxy, or making me feel like I was creating this baby to be sick, or like just so much around me and who I was. And I kept feeling like the whole system, every person I came into with medical, they kept thinking that I was making it up. And so every time I'd present at hospital, I kept feeling like they were just looking at me, and they kept looking at what my mental health was. What are you doing? And I kept holding my baby going, just take him and look at him yourself. Like, you look at my baby. I'm like, and then I got to a point where I thought, maybe I should take myself out of this world. If that makes it, if my son gets saved by my presence being gone out of this world, where they finally can see that he's sick without me here, I will do that. And I truly, truly believed that was the right choice for me. And I remember holding my crying baby who was having a seizure in my arms at home. And he was having the seizure, and it was about the third time he was having a seizure. The first 2 times I got an ambulance, I took him to hospital, did all the things, and they were like, they didn't even look at him. They were just like, he's fine. And so when I was home holding my baby having the seizure, I was just like, what do I do? I have the whole world telling me I'm making this up, and just so much fear that my son's going to die and they're all going to think I did this. And when I consciously said, okay, this is it, I have to take myself out to save my baby. And then this other feeling, this strong knowing came across that I'm the only voice that's going to get heard for him. I have to be here, because if I'm gone, there's no one here to be his advocate. And so I literally just had to feel like, okay, I'm going to battle. And I literally just became this warrior that decided to be the voice that stood up against anyone that wanted to fight me on that. And so we went through literal daily battles every day to get support. And my son ended up in life support at the Royal Children's Hospital for pretty much 3 months of his life, where they were like, yep, something is wrong finally, but they couldn't figure it out. And then it came down to likely that he was a mitochondrial disorder, but I'm not sure. So there was a lot of things there. And so with my son's death was obviously shattering, and it was like, what do I do now? Like, it almost gave me this every day waking up, and there was all these medical things to do every day. And then when he passed away, waking up without having now a purpose, without waking up and having to advocate or have anything to do, I felt lost. I felt like, what was the point? What was any of this? And I just started to numb myself with alcohol. I remember waking up, and my mum's a severe alcoholic, and I remember waking up and just drinking alcohol, and I started to justify this like 11 a.m. I remember going to the fridge to get it, like alcohol out of the fridge, and it was 11 a.m. And I remember thinking to myself, it's 12 o'clock somewhere, whatever, you just justify things. And I remember seeing my older son, who was 11 at the time, and he was in the kitchen. And I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, I've become my own mother. Like, the person I tried to prevent hurting her son for all these years, I'm now giving up on my other son because because I've lost a son. And I thought, this is not fair for him. And so I consciously made the choice to put the alcohol back in the fridge. Actually, I tipped it down the drain. And then I went into my son's nursery, and that's where I began my journey of just being like, I have to do something. I can't just throw my life away. And I made a choice to live for my son who couldn't be here. And I decided to, I guess now I say, there is life after death, and I chose to live after my son's death. And that's what I've been doing since.
Wow. That's a lot. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Even losing your son alone is a lot, not even on top of the abandonment and the trauma that you'd had from the past and the feelings that you'd been carrying, which I can only imagine all of that would have been very present at the time of advocating for him, fighting for him. Like, it would just, so hard.
Very hard. Yeah.
So that was, I guess, for you, a pivotal moment where you then turned more so to, I guess, healing, deeper healing, spirituality. Like, obviously you didn't want to keep drinking. You had to find a solution. So how did you find Aruka? Like, I actually don't even know how. I can never remember how anyone finds it in the end. But how did you discover Aruka? Like, how did you come into my world?
Yeah, well, it was actually all by chance, but nothing's by chance. Nothing's a coincidence, right? Everything is for a purpose and a reason. And I truly believe that my friend who's an Aruka therapist, Bridie, I think I had a session with her, and it was just crazy how we met. And she lives so far away from me, but then we were both in the same place at the same time, like 2 different times, and random connections that put us in the same place at the same time again. And then I think I had a session with her, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's what I need to be doing. I'd done like the Reiki. So when my son passed, I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I went and did like a Reiki course, and I did these things, but it felt light and it felt nice. But when I did the Aruka, I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do. And so that's when I was like, and she's like, my friend Jess, come and like have it. And I started watching you, and I was like, there she is. That's what I need. So, yeah.
I think I do magnetize people with intense, complex trauma and
definitely,
really big traumas, because it is designed for that. Like, my mission was that I wanted to create something that could actually heal that, not just scrape the surface of those bigger level traumas or those more complex ongoing traumas, which so many modalities do, unfortunately, not have the capacity to work with that big trauma. And I think that's probably what you would have felt, is that like, this is actually something that could change the game, or like change my trauma, not just does that make sense?
Not surface level. It wasn't the surface level like calm that I was looking for. I was like, change my life. And that's how it felt for me. It was like, not, I think Aruka is more around like what happened to you, but why are you the way you are, and how can we change that part of you so you can go back to yourself? And I think that's just what I was looking for. I was searching for something to help me understand myself better.
Yeah. And so you obviously have been doing it yourself and like having it done on yourself, and then you decided to study. So for anyone that doesn't know, the concept behind Aruka therapy is that we're using the 4 pillars of healing. So we're working with the subconscious mind, reprogramming subconscious beliefs. We're working with processing of actual memories, which there's a number of different ways that we do that. Most of them are childhood memories, reparenting, things like that. Somatic, subconscious, nervous system, memory processing and energetics, we're intertwining that all together. So we're removing the energy of the beliefs, and we're moving the energy of the trauma. We're reprogramming the mind, we're working on the body, we're integrating every part or every type of healing into one. What sort of, you've now been practicing for, how long have you been practicing for, and what sort of things are you working with? What sort of clients are you working with? What sort of things are you practicing using the Aruka modality?
God, time flies so fast. So like I have to think about how long has it been. It's been a few years, 3-4 years maybe. I reckon it's been about 3 or 4 years, maybe 3 years since I started the Aruka course. And I kind of just came straight out of it like I have to use this. This is like I need to be doing this. And I went straight in. And I also feel like I attract a lot of women who've got a lot going on. And I think that's an energetic thing as well. When you've got a lot, you can hold a lot. And that's kind of where I think people magnetize to that energy, especially like we all have a niche, but I think it comes from what we know we're capable of holding for someone, and they can see into that as well. And I think that's like why I work with a lot of women who have come with like the abandonment wounds, the hypervigilance, the all of the 4 pillars, but I just think what I'm finding as I'm moving more through it. So it was a lot of like this deep trauma, but now I find that I'm working with women who are like feeling like, who am I? Like they're at this identity crisis point in their life where they're just like, I know that this is not working for me anymore. I don't feel like I belong in this cycle, this relationship, in this workplace, whatever it is. And it's like, I know I shouldn't be here, but I can't change it. Why is this not changing for me? And it's like an identity crisis of like, hang on, I've come to realize maybe I'm holding so many things about what my family thought I should be doing, or where I should be doing things, what society says is acceptable, but that doesn't fit with my soul anymore. And so I'm finding myself really attracting people like that. And it's probably because I'm finally at that level too. So again, it's like the evolution of self moving and attracting and magnetizing.
And that does happen. And I think also you find that if there's people that work with you over a period of time, something that I teach in Triggered to Thriving, something that I talk about often is that there are stages to healing, and the intense complex trauma, or the people that come with so many different awful things that have happened to them, that all needs to be processed. But that is not the end of the healing journey by any means.
Absolutely.
The next stage, it sounds like you're getting people that come to you at the next stage, which is like the identity. It's like, who am I? Who do I want to be now?
Correct,
Without the trauma? Who do I want to be? And trauma affects you very much at an identity level. And so what happens a lot of the time too is women process the memories, and they scream and they cry and they do the somatics and they visually process, but they still have this identity of the person who suffers and struggles. And it's like, you don't, obviously with Aruka, the benefit is that we do all of that in one, where we actually process the memory, we shift it, we shift the identity, and we do the somatics all together. But it's cool that, like, I think what's really cool, and I don't know if you agree, is that like you can hold anyone at any stage, because you've got the tools to do all of it. So if they've already done this, you can do this. But if they've done nothing, you've got it all there ready to go.
Yes, I agree. And I think that's like a lot of women, I think, are, even if they haven't done the work, even if they haven't even gone into the memory yet, they're almost viewing women who have, I think, and being like, I want to be doing what she's doing. And feeling like, hang on, her life is changing. Maybe that's where I need to be. And it's like this feeling again of just like, I need to be at that level of my life. So it's like a soul calling to seeing themselves as bigger than what they saw themselves as before. And it's seeing it in other women as well. And I think that's the beauty of having the online world, is seeing a lot of that. But it's also remembering that healing, well, for me, healing isn't about like becoming someone new. It's about unbecoming everything that you've been taught to be, and going back to the root of who you were born to be in the first place. And I always try to remind people, like, you weren't unworthy of love as a newborn baby. Why would you be unworthy of that now? And, you know, seeing, and I think that's the beauty of Aruka, is we get to go so deep into those things, the layers that are underneath all of that, and remembering that perfect little human that was underneath all of the things that you now believe about yourself. So shifting
Mm.
so many beliefs can really open up a whole new world and a whole new identity, because it's like, hang on, this is actually who I am.
Mm. Something I'd really love to talk about, which we were talking about off camera as well, is that I always say like Aruka is so powerful for basically, like you said, removing everything that wasn't yours to carry, whether it's beliefs, whether it's emotions, whether it's trauma, whether it's visual memories, whether it's things that happened to you that you couldn't control. That's like the most common way that we use Aruka therapy. But there's more stages here, and we were talking about generational trauma, and we're also talking about past life trauma, and we were just talking about how there is research now that generational trauma can go back in mice only. They haven't been able to study it in humans yet, but in
So
mice
incredible.
by 60 generations.
Wow.
By humans, I think that it was like 7 or something that they'd properly studied, but I also sometimes wonder whether our past lives are, part of that generational line that goes back 60, 70,
100%.
100 generations. This is the sort of thing that people sometimes are coming and they're like, I've done all of this therapy, but I just have like this weird feeling or this thought or this dream or this fear or this phobia that can't be explained by anything that is happening in this life. This is why I'm so passionate about Aruka having the connection to the spiritual side, but also quantum physics, quantum entanglement, energetics,
Yeah.
like actually understanding that, yes, physically in the DNA, we have information passed down for survival, but that's also an energetic process. And
Yeah.
so the like, it's so mind-blowing for how far that can stretch back and how those entanglements can work. And I know that you've had some experience with this where people have come with something that doesn't feel like it's from this current
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Go.
I
Go.
I absolutely love when we can go deep. Like Aruka takes, like I've worked with so many clients, and a lot of the people can come and we can go back to their womb when they're in their womb space with their mum, and that's their first time they remember not being loved. And the beautiful thing is that we can keep going. And I've been able to do that with clients where we just keep going and we go, okay, now we've reached there. Remind me of a time, or tell me when you felt another time of this. And it's like, hang on a second, I'm going into a past life and now I'm this other person and I remember these things. And it went as far as someone being brutally murdered and thrown into the dirt, and these things happening, and she was carrying so much fear around her using her voice, because I remember her, the reason that she was being punished was that she was standing against someone or saying something against someone, and it was a past life that was it was very cruel for her to use her voice. And so this happened to her, so now she was holding on to these relationships and not being able to stand up and be seen in her life because of this fear of what could happen to her. And her whole life has changed since that day. Like, she's no longer living like that. And I just think, like, it's incredible what we carry from these past lives. And I know it can be really hard to accept it sometimes, but if you want to understand it, do the work, see what comes for you. Like, I just think, it's so easy just to give it a go. Just try it yourself and see what happens. So I think
And
that this is
the
really
science is
cool.
getting there now for some of it. It's just that there's some that's still like a little bit, pseudoscientific. Like, it's a little bit like it's hard for them to measure the effects of measure the scale when we're going back that far. But there is so much science now that validates it. And the other thing that I always think about when it comes to past lives and when it comes to things like that, people that don't believe, it's like, well, even if you don't believe it, but you see it and it's there and it has a link and you can visualize it and you can feel it and you can speak to it and you can see it and you can process it, why not like have a go at doing that when there's like a method that can actually shift it for you?
Absolutely. I think people like that are living in fear and they don't know that they're living like that. Especially someone that is like, they're very stuck in their mindset about what they believe and what they don't believe. And it's almost like, what if you moved a belief around what it is that's preventing? What if you just opened your mind to something else? And I think they don't want to even consider opening their mind to something else. And I usually, that would be the belief, the belief
Well,
telling them.
there's a fear. There's a fear. So
Yeah,
then it's like well, what's going to happen? What would be the
Yeah.
worst thing that could happen if you opened
It's
up
like,
and that
so it's
and you
actually
find
just,
yeah.
yeah, and it's like, hang on, I could help you here. So it's, yeah, it's not trying to make someone change their mind. It's just helping them understand it. And I think that's just what it can be. I think we're all born, like for me, I'm a soul medium. So I work in working with people's soul, their energy. I'm obviously working with other people's souls as a medium. For me, like blending what I do with Aruka is so important. And I think knowing that we're all born intuitive and have this knowing within us, and then the beliefs that can create this stuckness or this I'm not good enough to listen to this intuition, or having other people, I guess, like family members, teaching us that we've got to be silent when we know we need to speak up, or things like that. I
Mm,
think that's kind of where I'm at now in life as well. Like, and it comes back to the identity of like, the more you know yourself, the more you understand what you're capable of, and just going back into the intuition. But then past life, so many women have had our voices taken from us in so many past lives. And I think that could be linked back to why we're so afraid now. And it's kind of the energetic of that as well. I think there's so much like in our DNA, we know that we carry so much, which is so cool that we know that scientifically. But even now, like the energetics of it, and that's what Aruka does. It goes into the energetics and it's doing
mm,
all of those things in one. Like we're going into the beliefs, the nervous system, we've got all the somatics, we've got everything all in one kind of group. And then bringing it back to that. And then it's like teaching yourself how to be more connected spiritually. Once you believe that you are worthy of that, whether there's such a hierarchy around like, I'm not a psychic, I'm not these things, and I can't, but we're all born with a knowing. There is some worthy
mm.
of it too. You just have to remember that you are.
Yeah, and the labels really don't mean much. Like it's what you're doing, not what you're called. It's what
Absolutely.
you're doing. And everyone like you said, everyone has that ability to tap into the quantum field, to tap into that information, to
Yeah.
tap into that level. It's just learning how to do it. And I think I love what you said. It made me think like the benefit of Aruka therapy is that you can go into a past life and Aruka, it applies there. What needs to be done in those past
Mhm.
life memories is the same as the present. So you
Yes.
can go generational, you can go past life. You still need to be processing it visually,
Yeah.
somatically, energetically. You still need to be doing that. And
Yeah.
because the person is experiencing it in this lifetime, they still need to have those beliefs shift from their subconscious mind because that's what's showing up, or the
Absolutely.
nightmares, the visuals. So whether it was a past life or present, doesn't really matter. It needs to be processed in the same way. And the cool thing is that if they're afraid to go back there,
Mhm.
you can look at the human that's in front of you right now and be like, well, what are you afraid of? And you can work with their subconscious to be able to unlock access to those
Exactly.
deeper layers. So you can like pivot between present, current life, past
Yep.
life, generational, and it
Yeah.
applies across all.
Yeah. I think that's what I love the most about Aruka is how it's it's so deep and it's so powerful and it's unlike anything else. Like that, I think that's what is so powerful about it. It's literally it's like changing work, and it's simple. It's just have
It
to
is.
trust that
It
you're coming
is.
to do it. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And it's so like, could you talk through, because this is the biggest block, right? Everybody says their modality is a transformational. People are
Yeah.
online right now and they're like, NLP will change your life and hypnotherapy will change life and brain spotting will change your life. All these things, all these modalities that like, but it didn't change their life.
Mhm.
And obviously we know the difference and we've spoken about the difference because they're working on like one pillar of healing and we're blending all four.
Mm.
But if you were to explain to someone that was like, oh, I've never done this before, I'm pretty nervous to try Aruka therapy, like I don't know if I should book a session with Shannon, like
Mm.
can you just explain like what a session looks like with you and like, how you would sort of run that for somebody who's just never done this work before, who's thinking they're feeling called to you?
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like you want to make sure that the space is safe for them. They need to walk into an environment where they know that you are going to be able to hold them, to allow them to go into that deeper space.
Sorry about the dog in the background. She's losing her mind. Sorry.
I love that that's live. That's animals.
It's live. You cannot stop the dog from attacking the postie.
Oh, Post is here. Yeah,
Post
it's making the space safe, right? Because we want their nervous system to feel safe. So instantly, I need to be a strong, safe person for them. So walking in, that's a connection already. Then energetically, they're going to be feeling that as well. We get into, I guess, what it is that's currently in their life. What are they coming to me for? What are they needing to do? And I know a lot of people can come in and say, I don't even know. I
Mm.
just know that something has to change, right? So that kind of is also then, okay, how do we move through this? And I think there are some really great tools that you've given us as students to kind of work into that as well. I think we're never left with like, oh crap, what do I do now? Like it's like, okay, we've got some tools here, let me figure it out. So
Pivot.
I think over
Pivot.
time, hang on, let me read this. I think over time you start to understand people. I can start to feel them, and I know kind of where we're moving into, and it's like the energetic of them.
Mm.
When you get into that next level, so then we're taking them into their breath, getting them to be feeling safe in their body and really coming down, and you want them to feel like, I always like to make them feel like they are, having a little bit of a snuggle on the bed. Like, we're getting them to
Mm.
slow down their breath and really just start to feel nice. They've got some beautiful music happening. And then we go into like the hypnosis and we go into the steps of that. And I love when someone says, I can't be hypnotized. Like it just doesn't happen.
You're like, sorry,
I'm
but Aruka doesn't accept that.
I got you. I got you. I have the best teacher. She showed me. She showed me what to do. It's my favorite because they're the ones that I go like, snap, got you.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
fun.
so
It's a
good.
challenge.
Unless they're like running away, like I've got to go to the toilet in the middle of it, and you're like, oh, I see what's happening here.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there. So when they are in that, they just fall into it. And I think that's just creating safety. It's constantly creating safety for them to go into that space and allowing them to be there. And so that's what like the Aruka steps to get into that process makes it easy though, makes that easy
Mm.
for them. So we go into the hypnosis and it feels like a beautiful like dream state. We're going into these beautiful spaces and allowing their mind to just settle, and then we go into that deeper work and it's them prompting. So you might ask them, what's happening for you right now? What are you wanting to bring up? And that might be where you start because you don't really know where you're going. Or tell me about something that's happening, and it's nothing scary. There's never anything like, tell me the darkest secret you've got. Like it's not you freaking them out with something. You're just prompting them to go in step by step, layer by layer, until they feel safe to go, okay, I'll go under now. And when you get into that space, that's when they get to move. You can feel the energy shift in the room. You can feel everything moving, and you know that you've connected to them. And that's when I open my heart space for them. And that's when the spiritual side of it all starts entwining, and you feel intuitively what the next question will be, and you know kind of where to move through that. And when we start getting, and it's not very long before you can get into those really, really deep spaces and helping to process. And then the process of then going in can be really big. Like they might have like a really big cry and they, scream or yell or whatever, but they're never out of control. That no one ever feels like they're out of control. They're always in a
Mm.
controlled sense, and they also know they can come out at any time and if it ever gets too heavy for them. But I don't think it's ever been so bad for anyone, even though there's some big things, because it's not just from like the human side. They're truly feeling it from their soul, and they're feeling like it is the right time to let this go. And when that is happening, the peace that comes across when they move to that next state of like finding the love and bringing in the worthiness, and you start to like just shower them with the next words of like, I am worthy, and I am, great, and I was born to be here, and this is my purpose and my soul's mission. And you feeling like this empowerment, and you can hear their voice just ramping up and getting like almost primal, because they're like, yes, yes. And I love when a woman's just like, I am worthy, I am like, and sometimes they might not be that big, they might just gently speak it, but the ending is always the same, where they come out and they just feel so much more peaceful and almost like
Light.
they can recognize them. Yeah. And recognize their own self again. It's like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to feel like. That's what I'm supposed to be.
Mm.
And I think the beauty of, and I don't know if this is even a knowing of Aruka, but there isn't a protection thing as well. So we're not just energetically opening anyone up, we're also closing it off with a beautiful healing safety bubble. And for me,
Mm,
as a soul medium, someone who works with spirit, this work incorporates that level of protection as well. Like we're not just sending people off of after opening them up, we're protecting as well.
closing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
we're closing
bringing
it.
it
Like, I think
close.
people are used to going to therapies where they open up and then they get so dysregulated. They go into
Yeah,
fight or flight, they're sweating, they're anxious, they leave the session and they feel worse. Whereas I don't think people realize that we only go into a memory that we can close off in
yeah,
that session.
yeah.
And the relief that you feel once that has been correctly processed
Instant.
is like, oh, it's instant. And it's like,
Yeah.
it might take longer. Some people, it might take 5 minutes. Some people, it might take the
Mm.
whole session. But we don't go into anything that we can't close off and that we're not finding the beliefs and shifting the beliefs and replacing them at the end and bringing that child or that teenager to
Mm.
safety and love and protection, like you said, but also regulating
Yeah,
their nervous system throughout so that they're feeling
yeah,
regulated in chunks as they go. Like, it's all in there for this recipe that leaves them. Yes, maybe there's emotions that come out over the next few days because they're purging, because they've opened up to
yeah,
feeling, but there's never this like, I went into the memory and now I'm having nightmares of it every night. It's
exactly.
gone. The
Yeah.
memory, the beliefs, all of that is shifting so rapidly that
Mhm.
you can't explain it to somebody until they've fucking tried it for themselves. Like, it's
Literally.
literally
Yes.
my next campaign for social media is videos of all of the therapists saying, just try it, because
Just try it once.
you just cut once. That's all you need to just
Yeah.
experience it, because there's nothing like it.
It literally isn't like it. And I think for me, I love the catch-up calls or the like people dropping in, a few days after and going like, "Oh my goodness, I've already
What
changed
did you
this."
do?
Yeah. Like so many people will like sometimes people go into a memory they didn't realize was there. And I think that is a big thing as well. And I always say to people, do not come to me if you don't want to change your life. Like if you don't want to actually transform your life and if you're not ready for that sort of work, it's probably best not to do this because this is actually going to change things for you. So a lot of women will come back out and like a day or two of processing and then they're like, I actually don't care about this anymore. I'm like actually
Mm,
done with that. Or I feel so inspired now to live my life this way, or it's like I am so much more at peace. I actually don't hold anger towards this anymore. And one of the things I love, there's a particular client that I had who came to me who was afraid of men, general men. And that was like, uh-oh, like that's big. For me, I was like, that's a big one. Generalized men,
mm.
not just a particular man or a type of man, men.
I had that one.
I
Yeah.
was like, where do we begin on this? Right. And so I was just deep diving, we're going. And then eventually we finally got down into the fact that as a tiny little baby, she was being wheeled away from her parents to go into life saving surgery. And in that surgery was only men or with these scary masks on as a newborn
Mm,
baby. So she has this fear of men who are going to hurt her. It's cold. They don't feel safe. There's no one hugging her. So she's got this fear of men. And that was preventing her from being able to talk to men in general. So she's an older woman who was wanting to have a relationship, but how can I when I'm afraid? And then
mm.
even now when I will see her around, she'll be like, I have conversations at the pub with men and I'm like social settings and stuff. And so she's just it's almost like she's gone, hang on, I'm not afraid of that anymore. It makes sense to me now. And that
Yes.
is what the work is. It's when your life can change from the belief of like, hang on, I don't have to be, my life isn't ran by this anymore. I don't have to
Yeah.
live because I had this belief anymore. And I think that's the work.
And what you just said, the pieces of the puzzle,
Yeah.
that sometimes you don't know sometimes you know there's something missing, but sometimes you don't even know that there's something missing. You just know, I'm always fighting with my partner. I'm always
Yeah.
like getting social anxiety. I'm always withdrawing myself. I'm always feeling lonely. And you don't even know
Mm.
why. That is, for me, was like what Aruka was in the beginning was like all about, was like uncovering in the unconscious or the
Yeah.
subconscious, like where that comes from and finding
Yeah.
the root cause and the source. And it sounds like you did that perfectly. Like,
Mhm.
and it's not always where you think it's going to go. And that's the
No.
beauty of it. You have the ability to and they don't know. I have people,
Mm.
it's quite common for people that have studied, even like with me or other modalities, to come to me for a session and be like, so I've got a money block and blah, 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 and it comes from here and it comes from here and it's da, 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 da.
Yeah.
They tell me and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what our conscious mind, even if we're very tapped in, even if
Mm.
we know all the things, myself included, there are things that are over here outside my conscious awareness that I cannot access because my subconscious is
Absolutely.
protecting me from them. So
Mhm.
it's cool to be able to open that up and for
Yeah.
people to go, whoa, it's this and it's that,
Yeah.
and I can see this. And I've
Yeah.
had so many people that are similarly like that with the results that you were talking about. They might not
Yeah.
even be able to see the results, but
Yeah.
they say, my husband says my voice sounds different. My mum and all my friends said I'm glowing. Like
Yeah. I'm
they're
softer.
they're noticing it in them and they're noticing the
Mhm.
shifts, and then they're like, so it must have worked. So I'm going to come back and do it again. But
Yes.
why couldn't I see the change? Oh, because I don't see myself positively. And we open up the subconscious. Why don't you
Yeah.
see yourself positively? Why couldn't you notice that change? Because da, 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 and there's another
Yeah.
layer. So it's like, it's so cool to watch people go through that and to get their light back and their aliveness and their
Yeah.
joy
I
and
think what you said
freedom.
just then about like when they come in and they think they know what they want or what they're going to. And sometimes I'm doing something and I will be writing down and then they say something and I'm like, whoa, lucky they can't see me because I'm like, what the fuck? We're moving over here now. Like I thought we were heading here. Hang on, we are
Yeah.
moving over here. And then my
Yeah.
brain is then, and then the intuitive side has to kick in of like, okay, that and that. Okay, so where do I head? And then you go into one more thing and you're like, there it is. There it
There it
is.
is.
Found it. And it was just like
Yeah.
we had to pivot. It wasn't dad, it was mum who this one time this thing happened and mum wasn't there to support you in that. So that's why it's this.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they
I
can
love
really
it.
calm
It's
it.
a whole other world. All right, so I'm just going to quickly check. I'm just going to come into my little thing here and just check the oh my gosh, my laptop. Check and that we haven't had any questions because there is there's a few people here. Okay, so just checking the back through all the comments, making sure we haven't had anyone ask any questions. There's just been lots of people joining. I know lots of little love hearts and peace hands, and thank you. I'm learning a lot. This is great. All right, cool. No questions, which is good. All right, so we'll wrap it up there because I feel like otherwise this is going to be a super long one that no one's going to ever have time to listen back to.
We could talk all day.
I know we could literally talk all day, but thank you so much for coming on. For anybody that's wanting to work with Shannon, I will post maybe a little feature in the week to come. We can do like I don't know if you saw in the group, but we can do a little feature on you. I'll share this live. We're going to make some clips out of this live. I'll tag you, share you. But for anyone that wants to find you, what's your Instagram handle that they should find you at?
Your Wellbeing Warrior.
Perfect. And then website, or is Instagram the best place to go?
Instagram's probably the best, but if not, yourwellbeingwarrior.com.au. But predominantly Instagram. Just give me a follow and see what I'm up to.
Amazing. So I'll be sharing some clips from this and tagging you and collaborating so people will be able to find you. But thank you so much for